Look at me, I'm 99 and I've never done a day's walking or exercise in my life. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's a good one today. I'm going to be showing you some old modelling photos because this is 5 beauty products that I discovered when I was modelling, which was over 20 years ago now. I started in 2001. I finished when I started blogging full time in 2011, 2012 maybe. So yeah, over 20 years ago, that are still going strong today. So cult beauty classics then, and everybody used them backstage, on shoots, in the hair and makeup room. Models use them on themselves in their, I'm going to say spare time, own time. That are still cult beauty products now, which I think is quite an achievement because there are millions more beauty products now. I remember, for example, when I was modelling, there weren't very many makeup highlighters. And I think MAC Strobe Cream was one of the only highlighters. And if a makeup artist was going to add sort of sheen to the face or to the arms or whatever, and they wanted absolute sort of glitz and glimmer, that's what they would use. And I don't remember there being that many alternatives. Whereas now, if you look, there are hundreds, probably thousands of different highlighting products, just as an example. So I think to still be going strong now and have a cult following and be one of those sort of iconic beauty products is really, really hard. And these have been going strong for all of that time. Excuse my hair, by the way, because I went a bit crazy with the rollers. I'd never really tried them on this length hair before, and I'm not sure about the effect. I mean, I like it, but it's just not my usual kind of style. So if you're thinking, wow, she looks a bit different, where's she off to? Nowhere. I'm here just doing a video. So yeah, let's get started with the products. Now this video is sponsored by Bio Oil. Bio Oil was one of those products that on beauty shoots, if you had any kind of skin showing, whether it was the décolletage or your shins or your arms or a little bit of shoulder, makeup artists would use this. And I think one of the reasons that it was so popular was that it's really, really powerful at moisturising. So if you've got dry or dehydrated skin, it really, really does the trick. So it's sort of working long term and not just cosmetic. But on the cosmetic front, it gives this lovely sheen to the skin, but it's not greasy. It's just got that gorgeous texture where you know that it's doing the trick, but it's just not all over the place. You know, it's not one of those ones that half an hour later you're still thinking, better not put my tights on. It's just done. And it's funny because I think there's a tendency to associate bio oil with pregnancy. Lots of people think, okay, pregnancy, want to prevent stretch marks, want to fade the stretch marks once I've given birth. What do they go for? And I think that for most people, the connection there is they instantly think of bio oil, which is brilliant, obviously, for bio oil. It's amazing to have a product that people instantly think of when they think of a certain time of life. But for me, what's interesting is that I discovered it way before I was ever thinking about having babies. That was nowhere on the horizon. And so for me, it was purely a brilliant product for moisturising skin and for getting that gorgeous sort of surface sheen to the skin. So all of the benefits that it has for pregnancy and postpartum skin, like helping to even out skin tone, like helping with stretch marks and scarring, you know, just basic moisturisation of the skin and skin softening because it's got vitamin E. All of those benefits are equally useful whatever your time of life. So whether you're a teenager, whether you've gone through menopause, all of those skin benefits are relevant. So helping to smooth and tone the skin, which gets more and more important as you get older, contains vitamin A, contains vitamin E, contains chamomile oil, which is really calming and soothing, and rosemary oil to condition and soothe. It's pretty much an all-rounder. There's nothing and no situation where you'd be worried about using this. It's non-comedogenic. You can use it on your face, just a tiny bit, used very sparingly underneath your moisturiser for an added boost of hydration. Talking of moisturisers, that is the next product that I want to show you. 4 of the products out of 5 have such just a nostalgic smell for me. And this one is the Dr. Hauschka Rose Cream. I don't know why I'm rubbing it all over myself before I've even shown you the product. Here's what it looks like, a very little dainty tube. And makeup artists just used to go crazy for using this. I think because it sits really well under makeup, it smells beautiful, and I know that we're not supposed to really harp on about the smell in skincare because it has no perceived benefit, but I actually do think that a nice smell in a beauty product does have a benefit, and that is it just makes you feel nicer and feel better. And there was one makeup artist in particular who used to use this all the time, and I used to work with her all the time, and when you used to come in she used to give you a face massage for about 10-15 minutes, and it was just the most amazing start to what was always a really early day, and it was just a lovely start. So even smelling that now, obviously it smells of rose, but it's almost like a candied rose. Candied, not candied, candied, as in sugared, not candied, or candid as in frank. It's just beautiful, and I remember always having this when I was travelling because it was lightweight, it was in a tube, really convenient, no heavy jar packaging here. Fond memories, and still brilliant today. Another nostalgic smell, L'Oreal Elnet. Absolutely cheap as chips then, is still cheap as chips, and I think just one of the best hairsprays. I can't think of one that I like better at the moment, but you know, there must be good other hairsprays out there. But I just buy this over and over again because this is about £2 and it just does the trick. Spray it in my bouffant hairdo that I'm not quite sure about. It just holds everything in place. It's not crispy, it's not sticky, and when you want to get rid of your style or remove the hairspray, you just brush it out and there is no residue. You know, it doesn't leave your hair feeling dirty or anything. It's just brilliant stuff. Don't know how it works, it's magic, but it does, and it's cheap, and it's just still going strong. I mean, it will have been going for more than 20 years, I can guarantee you. Don't know how many. I can imagine it's probably like 100 years or something ridiculous if it's L'Oreal. It's just brilliant stuff. And these ones are great for your handbag as well, and great for travel. The next product doesn't have any smell, and I suppose in a way that is one of its benefits because it is the Bioderma Micellar Water. Before it hit the UK, before everyone started going crazy about micellar waters, which I have to say coincided with the event of blogging, I would say that before blogging there were so many products that just were not known about in the UK, and they weren't put into magazines because really, I mean, now and again you'd get a sort of French pharmacy article, but it wasn't, skincare I don't think wasn't a focus like it is now. And I do remember when everyone just started going off on one about micellar waters, and Bioderma was the first one that everybody was going wild about. And I remember I'd been using it for, I don't know, like a decade maybe before everyone was going on about it, and thinking, oh, I just thought that was, I don't know, kind of old news, because I was so used to seeing this on a makeup table or wherever I was in my own house, that it just didn't seem like any great shakes, but it really is. So micellar water is a really powerful cleanser that you can just wipe on and wipe off. You don't need to be at a sink. It's really useful if you're traveling, if you're out on location as a model, if you're at shows where it's just not convenient to be doing lots of makeup changes by washing your face. I always think washing your face using a flannel is obviously the best way to remove a lot of makeup, but it's just very convenient, it's very gentle, and it works. It gets everything off. So you might even like to use something like this as your first cleanse, like a pre-cleanse before you go in with your flannel, because you might want to just get off the majority of the makeup. I don't know how you use your micellar. Lots of people are saying now that if you can, give yourself a rinse after you've used it, because obviously you're leaving the residue of whatever you're wiping off on your face. I'm going to put my hand up now and say I've just never bothered. And it never did me any harm. Look at me, I'm 99 and I've never done a day's walking or exercise in my life. Anyway, it hasn't done me any harm, not rinsing it off, and I do think it's one of those products that's just really convenient. And if you're then rinsing it off, if I was going to be rinsing it off, I'd be using a cleanser, put it that way. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Shh. I think you know what I'm going to show you. Packaging looks slightly different these days to when I first discovered it as a model. It used to have a sort of oil paint cap, don't know whether that's the right word for it, but you know, one of those screw ones that you sort of, looks like it's from a tube of oil paint. Don't know how else to describe that really. It's Elizabeth Arden 8-hour cream. Now, when I first had this used on me, I thought, I do not like this. It felt sort of gloopy, I wasn't keen on the smell. And makeup artists just used to slather it on for any reason whatsoever. Oh, I'm going to make your eyebrows look slick, and then they'd put on some 8-hour cream. Oh, something's happened with your flyaways, let's use 8-hour cream. Oh, your cuticles look dry, let's use 8-hour cream. Oh, I'll try to think of another example off the top of my head. You've got a graze on your knee, let's use 8-hour cream. Literally anything that they could think of, they would use this on. And I don't know whether it's because they'd had some kind of amazing sort of like immersion day with Elizabeth Arden that all makeup artists had to go on, and they gave them 500 different uses for 8-hour cream. Maybe they did. But honestly, it was borderline a joke. The amount of things they used to find uses for: cheekbone highlighting, eyelid slicking. It was crazy. You can use it for all of those things. By the way, the smell has grown on me. Again, now I find it very nostalgic when I smell it, because it just sends me straight back to the makeup chair. They also do, I think, an unscented version now with the same sort of moisturising powers, but it is brilliant on chapped lips and just as a sort of pre-lipstick little mask, overnight mask on the lips. Not a lot comes close really to the effects of that on the older lips. So those are 5 beauty products that I love as much now as I did when I discovered them 20 years ago when I was a model, that are still as good, and that I still think, public perception wise, are as cult as they were then. Let me know what you think. Let me know which products you were using 20 years ago that you're still using now, because I'd be interested to read. Leave your notes in the comments. It can be as long as you want, because if I'm anything, I'm a waffler, so I completely understand. Again, many thanks to Bio Oil for sponsoring this video. I have to say, their packaging is gorgeous. This reminds me, this packaging, of something, it's just so lovely and simple, isn't it? It reminds me of something you might find in a really cool sort of apothecary in LA. Don't know what it is about it, it just feels so pleasing. Do you not think? And look at this gel. Oh, just gonna say, after sun. I will be taking this on holiday with me. I love a cooling, soothing gel after I've been in the sun, and that feels amazing. Purslane oil in the bio oil, that's what makes it really sort of easily absorbed and non-greasy, oily on the skin. It's worth knowing. That must be why it's so popular on shoots. So yes, not just a specialist stretch mark and scar product. It's for all times of life and all sorts of phases, no matter what the needs are. Lots and lots of benefits with this. So thank you for sponsoring this video, Bio Oil. If you have any questions, everyone, leave them in the comments below, and I shall see you in the next video.